even if they didn't know about this program previously. So this is a wonderful opportunity to reach out to all borrowers and make sure they know about this deadline. And I'm really proud and honored to be a part of the campaign for California borrowers' rights. And one of our fearless leaders who has really helped bring this whole coalition together is Arnie, so well, the executive director at NextGen Policy. And again, very honored to have you here today. Arnie, do I have you on the line?
Thank you, Natalia. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Very good. Once again, thank you, Natalia, and thank you again to all our speakers and those who are watching today's launch of the California Student Debt Challenge. I'm Arnie Sowell, and I'm the executive director of NextGen. And NextGen is a nonprofit that fights for progressive policy change across a range of areas, specifically as it relates to environmental, social, racial, and economic inequities in California. And we strategize and advance and advocate for those policies through justice-centered sort of legislative advocacy, grassroots partnerships, and democratic civic engagement. I have the pleasure of introducing our next speaker, someone who has, as an elected official, an elected assembly member, been, and now as the state's chief legal officer, has partnered with NextGen across a range of issues and is certainly a champion for student borrowers, our California Attorney General, Rob Bonta. By way of background, for those of you that may not be familiar, in April of last year, Governor Newsom appointed Rob Bonta as the state's next Attorney General. Rob Bonta was sworn in as the 34th Attorney General of the state of California, the first person of Filipino descent to occupy this position. Attorney General Bonta's passion for justice and fairness was instilled in him by his parents, who served on the front lines of some of America's most important social justice movements, instilling in him the lessons learned from the United Farm Workers movement and also from the civil rights movement. It's my understanding that's one of the reasons why he wanted to become a lawyer and to help right the historic wrongs and fight for people who have been harmed. In the assembly, we have worked with Mr. Bonta across a range of issues. He's worked on everything from pursuing sort of corporate accountability, standing up for workers, punishing big polluters, and fighting for racial injustice. He's been a national leader in the fight to transform the criminal justice system, banning private prisons and detention facilities in California, as well as pursuing the elimination of cash bail. As Attorney General, he has led statewide fights for racial, economic, and environmental justice, as well as national fights in those areas as well. And he's worked to right the wrongs of immigrant families, renters, and working Californians. I can't say enough about our partnership and the privilege it is that we have to have our state's Attorney General help us launch the California Student Debt Challenge. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to our State Attorney General, Rob Bonta.
Thank you, Arnie, for your very kind words, as well as your leadership and your ongoing partnership. Always proud to stand with you and make good things happen. And first and foremost, challenge accepted. Here as California's Attorney General and on behalf of the California Department of Justice, on behalf of the more than 5,000 public servants at the California DOJ, I'm proud to take the California Student Debt Challenge. As Attorney General, I've fought to expand access to the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, and I urge all eligible Californians to take advantage of this important opportunity. This fight is personal to me. I know what it feels like to write those painful triple-digit, even quadruple-digit checks, trapped by high interest rates and debt that was large enough to be a mortgage in many places, or more even. In my early legal career, and I initially joined a private practice so I could afford my student loan payments instead of pursuing my calling, where my heart was and is, becoming a public attorney. But beginning in 2007, Americans seeking to pursue careers in public service were presented with an important alternative so they wouldn't be forced to make the difficult choice that I made. After 10 years of public service, what's left of their loans would be forgiven through the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. But when public servants could first apply a decade after the program was initiated and implemented, that promise of relief, it never came. During the first round of eligible loan cancellations, the Trump administration denied 99%. My office sued Betsy DeVos and the Trump administration. Congress took action. We joined with the advocates here, and ultimately we won the fight. But our battle, of course, it continues. The Biden administration has waived key requirements for public servants to have their federal student loan debt wiped free. But here's the catch. You need to act, and you need to act now. While I've urged the Department of Education to extend the deadline and push for further fixes to the program, this waiver period is currently limited and the deadline is fast approaching. That's why I'm joining this challenge, and I'm calling on all public sector employers to join as well, because nearly 1 million Californians, 1 million Californians can qualify for public service loan forgiveness, but only about 10,000 have received it. So let's get those numbers up. We must ensure every public sector employee, from teachers to firefighters, nonprofit administrators to state employees, knows about the public service loan forgiveness waiver period before it closes on October 31st, before difficult hurdles are put back up. The public servants at DOJ are the hardest working people I know. They keep California safe. They deserve debt relief. My office has already taken steps to highlight this waiver period for DOJ employees. By accepting this challenge, we're going to do more. We're going to double down as we provide more information, swiftly sign employment certification forms, and make some of our skilled attorneys, some of the very same ones that sued Trump and got us here, available to them to help navigate the process. If you are a public servant who holds federal student loan debt, I urge you to take advantage of the new PSLF limited waiver opportunity before the October 31st deadline. It's there for you, but you need to act. Thanks again for having me, Arnie.
Thank you, Attorney General Bonta, for your leadership and for your partnership in launching the challenge, and certainly for taking the California challenge. And we look forward to working with the Department of Justice to reach as many of those student borrowers, like you said, over these next couple of months. My name is Samantha Sang, and I'm the Legislative Director and a Policy Advisor at NextGen California. And as a co-lead of the Campaign for California Borrowers' Rights Coalition, it's my pleasure to introduce California State Senator Monique Limon. Senator Limon represents the 19th Senate District that includes all of the county of Santa Barbara, as well as over half of the county of Ventura. Born and raised in the 19th District, Senator Limon has worked continuously to serve her community as an educator, leader, and advocate for causes advancing the quality of life in her community. And we all certainly here at the campaign have enjoyed her leadership as a then Assembly and now Senate banking chair for all the strong protections that Californians enjoy in the student debt world. So thank you, Senator Limon. And do we have you on the line?
We do. Thank you so much, Samantha. And good morning to everyone joining us today. I am the proud author of SR 96, a resolution recognizing Student Loan Debt Awareness Month. Nearly 4 million Californians owe a total of $140 million in student loan debt. The average borrower owes $38,530. It is unacceptable that this debt disproportionately impacts women and people of color. In an economy where higher education is a prerequisite for many jobs, we cannot allow our dreams to be stifled by debt. A degree is also valuable outside of its potential earnings. Students have the opportunity to focus on their education, on something that is meaningful to them, that they can improve important skills like writing, speaking, critical thinking. All of these elements are very useful, and students gain access to social and professional networks when they have the chance to be part of our institutions of higher learning and meet folks from different backgrounds. As the chair of the Senate Banking and Financial Institutions Committee, I understand the importance of consumer protections, especially for student loans. I have co-authored important legislation like Assembly Bill 376 by Assemblymember Stone in 2020 that established California's Student Borrower Bill of Rights, and AB 424 in 2021, which improves standards related to the collection of private student loans. It's important to make students and borrowers aware of consumer protection and loan forgiveness available to them. Prior to being in the legislature, I worked for over 14 years in higher ed. I met with so many students, undergrad, graduate, professional school who felt the weight of their student loans. It can take years or even decades to pay some of this loan off. That's why this resolution brings to light the growing problem, and it highlights the importance of federal forgiveness programs, which can significantly decrease the burden of student loans. Students deserve access to higher education without having to worry about the debt they will incur after graduation day. I want to thank you all again for your important work on this issue, and it's a critical one that we're all joining together to ensure that we can address so that more access to higher education degrees is an opportunity and less debt is part of our future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Limon. I actually remember hearing you speak at a panel at Cal Nonprofit, another group joining us later in this press conference on public service loan forgiveness years ago. And it's wonderful to see how much you've stuck in it and continuing the fight. And thank you for your hard work on launching the August Student Loan Awareness Month, which perfectly coincides with our California Student Debt Challenge. So thank you again. Again, we have even more speakers, so stay with us. It's now my pleasure to introduce California Assembly Member Mia Bonta. Assembly Member Bonta was elected to serve California's 18th Assembly District in a special election just last year on August 31st in 2021, representing the East Bay and Oakland. Assembly Member Bonta has spent her career advocating for students and working families. Assembly Member Bonta, do we have you on the line?
Yes, thank you so much. And thank the Campaign for California Borrowers' Rights for bringing us all together and for organizing this timely and really important press event and bringing so many great individuals and organizations to speak on the issue of student debt. I'm California State Assembly Member Mia Bonta, and I proudly represent the people of Oakland, Alameda, and San Leandro. And I have lived with the weight of student debt. In fact, in my 20s, I'd accumulated with my partner, that guy that you heard from before, over $150,000 in student loans. I was so proud of what I accomplished academically and proud of each degree that I earned, but the debt was a lot to carry. I made my last payment in my 40s, just in time to be able to send my oldest child to earn a degree of her own. But the debt was a lot to carry. And statistics show that when a Black woman takes out a student loan 12 years after starting college, she will still owe 112% of that loan. For Latinas, taking out a student loan 12 years after starting college, she will still owe 86% of that loan. Black and Latino students in particular, coming from low-income communities, take on a disproportionate amount of student loan debt. It is almost soul-crushing that the trade-off for so many students to achieve their educational goals is to take on crippling debt. I witness this every single day, working in a cradle to college through career program and helping to have students make a decision about getting into college or applying for college. And I have to tell you, that they had to pause when they thought about taking on that debt, given their responsibility and accountability to their families and their community. Thankfully, now there are federal and state programs that can play a critical role in reducing or eliminating student debt altogether. And that's why we're here today, to make sure that we have the information so that we can have access to these programs, because while they're out there, they're not so easy to find, and programs are not necessarily so easy to apply for if we don't know about them. So we have this last opportunity to spread awareness on programs available, Beyond that, we need to simplify the application process and create a better coordinated outreach program between institutions of higher learning, the government, and the private sector. My resolution, HR 118, declares August 2022 as California Student Debt Awareness Month and highlights the critical role schools, the private sector, and the public sector play in working together to ease student debt. While California has been a leader in finding ways to make college more affordable, there needs to be a nationwide effort to make sure that California is a dream, that student loan debt is a thing of the past, and that every Californian can make sure that they have an opportunity to achieve college. So I take that challenge as well to ensure that the California Student Debt Challenge is taken by all, and that we can bring awareness to student loan debt and programs available for all. Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you so much, Assemblymember Bonta, for your leadership and commitment to ensuring that student borrowers receive the outreach and education they need to take advantage of the PSLF program. My name is Kristen McGuire. I'm the Executive Director of Young Invincibles, and I'm also a PSLF qualifying student borrower. Young Invincibles is a national advocacy organization whose mission is to amplify the voices of young adults in the political process and expand their economic opportunity. We advocate for young adult-centered policy changes in higher ed, healthcare, workforce and finance, and civic engagement. And we are honored to work alongside our wonderful partners leading this important work via the Campaign for California Borrowers' Rights. And of course, it goes without saying that Young Invincibles proudly accepts the California Challenge. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing my friend, Los Angeles County 1st District Supervisor Hilda Solis. We've had the great opportunity to work with to uplift young people in Los Angeles County. As a daughter of a working class immigrant parents from Nicaragua and Mexico, she understood at a long age that the challenges that workers face and the dignity they deserve, she understood at a young age the dignity that they deserve. Taught to value hard work and give back to her community, Supervisor Solis believes that government, with the right leadership, can help substantially improve the lives of many people. Raised in La Puente, California, and representing the San Gabriel Valley, Supervisor Solis was the first in her family to attend college at Cal State Polytechnic University, Pomona, that we lovingly call Cal Poly Pomona, despite a lack of institutional support from her high school. From there, Supervisor Solis began to develop her political values as a progressive champion for the most marginalized people in our society. Before making history as the first Latina to serve in the presidential cabinet as Secretary of Labor, Supervisor Solis's experience spanned across the Rio Hondo Board of Trustees, both chambers of the California State Legislature, and the House of Representatives. After her time in the Obama administration, she came back home to continue her service locally as the supervisor for the 1st District, where I call home. Here, Supervisor Solis continues to use her federal, state, and local governing experience to deliver essential services to constituents, like bringing forth a motion to establish the month of August as the Student Debt Awareness Month in LA County. She resides in the city of El Monte with her husband, Sam, and their dog, Lisa. Supervisor Solis, are you here?
Yes, I am. How are you, Kristen?
I am very well. Thank you for coming today.
Oh my God, a big shout out to you. What a beautiful introduction. It's so good to see your smiling face and knowing that people in the San Gabriel Valley are being taken care of by you and the Young Invincibles. Thank you for the opportunity to join all of you, along with all the elected officials and our Attorney General. What I want to say to you is that we need to encourage our public sector employees, particularly our nonprofits, to look into this program as soon as possible. We only have a certain window of opportunity, so now's the time for us to push forward. We know that many Angelenos right here in LA County are struggling every day to make ends meet because we know the cost of living is very high with inflation as well as housing costs and rent. Student loans, as you know, only make that burden even heavier. This is especially true for children of immigrants, people of color, and first-generation students, which I happen to be one. We need to make sure that that American dream is fulfilled by everyone, that people that have had access to higher education are not straddled also with this debt for many, many years. That's why we want to make sure that every Californian is aware of this time-limited opportunity, and especially here in our very homes in Los Angeles County. And I want to personally thank the Campaign for California Borrowers' Rights and its leaders from Next Gen California, Young Invincibles, Student Debt Crisis Center, Student Borrower Protection Center, and Consumer Reports for bringing this issue to my attention earlier this year, back in January. In fact, in January, the LA County Board of Supervisors approved my motion to instruct the Departments of Human Resources and Consumer and Business Affairs to get this information and data out to our county employees, our contracted organizations, and the public. You know, we have well over 111,000 public employees right now serving LA County. We're one of the largest employers in the region, and each year we contract out approximately $6 billion worth of services and supplies. Tomorrow at our board meeting, I will be bringing forward a motion to proclaim August 2022 as Student Loan Debt Awareness Month to join the campaign and continue our efforts. We need to leave no stone unturned. We got to make sure every single county employee and those that contract with us and work with us know that this opportunity is available to them. So I encourage all Angelenos to look into the program, as well as applicable employers to take the challenge, especially our local municipalities, our small cities and others, medium size as well. I want to thank the campaign for spearheading the issue statewide, and thank you for the opportunity to join you. We know when students are educated and they are not saddled with debt, they will thrive, they will prosper, and our society will be better for all of that. Thank you so much. Muchas gracias, and sí se puede.
Great. Thank you so much, Supervisor Solis, for your remarks and for being such a leader in LA County on raising awareness around student debt issues, public service loan forgiveness, and the California Challenge. My name is Winston Berkman-Breen, and I'm the Policy Counsel and Deputy Director for Advocacy at the Student Borrower Protection Center. The SBPC is a nonprofit organization focused on alleviating the burden of student debt for millions of Americans. We engage in advocacy, policymaking, and litigation strategy to rein in industry abuses, protect borrowers' rights, and advance economic opportunity for the next generation of students. As a co-lead of the Campaign for California Borrowers' Rights, it's my pleasure to introduce Richard Cordray, Chief Operating Officer for the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Federal Student Aid, and Ashley Harrington, Senior Advisor to the Chief Operating Officer at FSA. As COO, Chief Cordray is responsible for strategic and operational management of FSA, which administers the federal student financial aid programs and manages a federal student loan portfolio valued at $1.6 trillion, representing more than 43 million consumers. While at FSA, Chief Cordray has worked hard to incorporate state and local stakeholders as partners in the office's mission to support borrowers, and has overseen some of the agency's largest programmatic overhauls to increase access to cancellation programs like PSLF. He brings extensive leadership and expertise to this role, as well as a commitment to serving consumers and American families. His public service includes serving as the first director of the Federal Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and as the Attorney General, Treasurer, and First Solicitor General for the state of Ohio. As senior advisor to the COO, Ashley Harrington advises on policy implementation, operations, and external communication related to FSA's federal student loan portfolio. Ashley has extensive experience with student loan debt reform, fair lending, and consumer protection law. Prior to joining FSA, she served as a federal advocacy director and senior policy counsel at the Center for Responsible Lending, and also previously worked at the United Negro College Fund and in the New York State Governor's Office. With that, it's my honor to turn things over to Rich and Ashley.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you so much.
Okay, I wasn't able to join by camera, although I see so many of my friends that we've worked together on so many things in California, including the Consumer Financial Protection Agency in California as well. I'll just briefly, and then I'll pass it to Ashley, who is the leading advocate in the entire federal government on public service loan forgiveness. I'll just say this: almost 15,000 California public servants have so far been approved for loan forgiveness under this program. Many more, we believe well over 100,000 more, are currently moving forward toward the magic 10-year mark, but we know there should be even more. These are employees of city, county, state, federal governments, and many qualifying nonprofits. We want every Californian who deserves this key financial relief to know about it and to get it. And with that, I'll pass it to Ashley. Ashley?
Thanks so much, Rich. Hi, everyone. So excited to be here today. As Rich said, We are so excited about all of the borrowers who have been approved for forgiveness so far, all the borrowers who are working towards forgiveness. And we are doing everything we can to make sure every single borrower knows about PSLF and the waiver. And states can help with this. That's why today's partnership and announcement is so important. This California Challenge is a perfect example of how states and organizations can partner with us to get the word out. We know that public service employers across this country are struggling to retain and add workers in this current job market. And one way to keep people in public service and get them into public service is through providing student debt relief. And so advertising this program, talking about these benefits and making sure people know about this program that has a clear path to loan forgiveness is really important. We are committed to making sure every single public servant who is eligible gets the credit that they have earned. And so even if you're not at 120, even if you've not been in repayment for 10 years, we're urging every single California borrower who's in public service to take the steps required to apply for PSLF and get into this process before this waiver ends on October 31st. Thank you so much to everyone here, all the speakers today, and to Rich for helping make so much of this happen. We really appreciate this partnership.
Thank you so much, Ashley and Rich, and for all that you're doing at the Federal Student Aid Office of the Department of Education to get the word out about the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. And I would just note, we understand the average amount forgiven per borrower through the PSLF waiver is over $60,000 per borrower. So this is a tremendous benefit we hope to bring to hundreds of thousands of other Californians. So thank you for your leadership. I'm Chuck Bell. I'm Programs Director for Consumer Reports. We're one of the 5 anchor organizations at the Campaign for California Borrowers' Rights supporting the challenge. We salute California and your elected officials and appointed officials for your leadership. I'd like to introduce our former good friend and colleague, Suzanne Martindale, who is the Senior Deputy Commissioner at the Consumer Financial Protection Division at the California Department of Financial Protection and Innovation, or which is known as DFPI. And the DFPI is working day in and day out towards securing a fair and healthy financial services marketplace for all Californians. So a great example of public service. So Suzanne, are you there on the line? I'd like to turn the floor over to you.
Yes, Chuck, I'm here on the line, and thank you for that lovely introduction. Good morning, everyone. So happy to be here with all of you. I am the Senior Deputy Commissioner for Consumer Financial Protection at DFPI. For those of you who have not heard of DFPI, we're the state's Consumer Financial Protection Agency. So we regulate financial service providers, whether it's a state chartered bank or credit union, a mortgage company, a payday lender, a debt collector, or a student loan company. We are here to serve Californians. Not everyone knows that we actually license and examine the same servicers that handle federal student loans. And we know, certainly from hearing from Californians who have complaints and inquiries, there's a lot of confusion out there. That often, unfortunately, has historically been the case, that student loan servicers have not always been great about providing timely, accurate, and up-to-date information to truly help people access all of the options they have when they're in repayment on their student loans. Public service loan forgiveness has been confusing. I can say from first-person lived experience, I went through the PSLF process. I actually got my loans canceled last year, hooray. But even as an expert in this space, I found it confusing as well. So if you are someone who has been scratching your head saying, I'm not sure what I qualify for or what I'm supposed to do, rest assured you are not alone, and we are here to help. Our department has already been kicking up our efforts to provide educational resources, to do outreach. We've conducted webinars with many of the people on this call to raise awareness about all the different options out there for borrowers, and particularly this new waiver that makes it a little easier to get credit for public service loan forgiveness. But we know there's more work to do, and we're better when we do this work together. That's precisely why we are so pleased to join this campaign to take the student debt challenge to make sure that people who work for the state of California, whether you're an office tech, a lawyer, or a researcher, it doesn't matter. If you're working full-time for the state of California, you are in eligible employment for the purposes of this program. And we want to make sure that every person possible who could be eligible is going to get credit toward PSLF. So again, we are so pleased to be involved with all the wonderful people on this call from local, state, and federal government and the nonprofit world as well. We know that we can reach more people when we do it together. And so again, just really pleased to be here. If you want to know more about our department, you can go to dfpi.ca.gov, where we have our own resources for student borrowers. But we know that this is going to be a long fight. So more to come from us, but then I'll turn it back over to the moderator. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Suzanne, for your leadership and continued dedication to protecting student borrowers. My name is Sara Bolitza, and I am the West Advocacy Manager for Young Invincible. As a co-lead of the Campaign for California Borrower Rights Coalition, it is my pleasure to introduce San Francisco City and County Treasurer, Jose Cisneros. Treasurer Cisneros believes that his role of safeguarding the city's money extends to all San Francisco residents and continues to expand his role as a financial educator and advocate for low-income San Franciscans through award-winning programs like Kindergarten to College, Bank on San Francisco, and the Financial Justice Project. Treasurer Cisneros has provided recorded remarks for us today.
Good morning. I'm San Francisco Treasurer Jose Cisneros. On behalf of the City and County of San Francisco, I'm urging employers across our state to join the California Student Debt Challenge and help connect the hundreds of thousands of public service workers in California with student debt forgiveness that they're entitled to. Student debt is a huge burden that weighs heavily on many of our employees, their families, and the local economy in our community at large. In a 2018 analysis, my office found that student borrowers in the San Francisco Bay Area owed a collective $26.6 billion in student debt, and we know that number has only increased. The PSLF waiver program provides a critical opportunity for many of our government and nonprofit workers. I'm grateful for our partnership with the Student Borrower Protection Center. Together, we've helped hundreds of eligible borrowers like city and county employees and teachers take advantage of PSLF through webinars, a dedicated web page, and frequently asked questions. And recently, I've been thrilled to hear from our employees who've had their student debt entirely forgiven thanks to this great program. That's why I'm urging all eligible employers across our state to take similar action to share this important opportunity with your employees. With the deadline fast approaching, the time is now for your employees to apply and take advantage of this program. Please take the pledge to join the California Student Debt Challenge, and let's work together to get this relief to as many of our employees as possible.
Thank you, San Francisco Treasurer Cisneros, for sharing those remarks with us today and for all the work your office continues to do for student borrowers in San Francisco. My name is Sabrina Calazans, and I'm the Director of Outreach at Student Debt Crisis Center. It's my pleasure to introduce Catherine Lieberger, AFSCME Local 3299 President. Catherine Lieberger began work as a gardener at UC Berkeley in 2001 and is now the president of UC's largest labor union, AFSCME 3299, which represents over 30,000 service and patient care workers across the UC system. Catherine, do we have you on the line?
Hi there. Yes. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for that introduction. My national union, the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFSCME, really spearheaded by our president, Lee Saunders, working with the American Federation of Teachers, have made it a priority for years to educate workers that they represent about PSLF. They've been campaigning to raise awareness. They've run train the trainer workshops, really to encourage and enable access for all of our members to the PSLF process. My local union, 3299, is working with other UC unions, UC Merced's HERE Lab, the UC Student Loan Law Initiative, Student Borrower Protection Center, to get every eligible dollar forgiven for all 500,000 UC students, faculty, and workers. This means getting the University of California to roll a massive awareness and application assistance campaign to get all these PSLF applications in by the deadline. And it also means that, you know, we've got to make sure UC has ensured they have the capacity in place to do their part of the application process as employees and others work to get their sign off. That said, I join my colleagues on this call in urging not just UC, but all public sector employers to join the California Student Debt Challenge. Many of our members work not just at UC, but have additional jobs in the public sector. And they'll need the support of all their public sector employers to complete their PSLF applications. As we work to get with our employer to get the word out, my local union will also be doing our own outreach to our members because the message is best heard from us. And this is really important. It's important for employers to partner with the other organizations like labor unions to ensure that their employees have access to the PSLF process. Our members will get this help for free because they're AFSCME members. And we're going to be able to get them the software, the computers to help them because many of them don't have that kind of access. We'll get them the access to the online PSLF process that makes the application easy. Many of our members attended for-profit colleges, and they may not know that they actually hold federal loans and are eligible for PSLF. So I can't emphasize enough the importance of creating an echo chamber of awareness and access. I've gone through this process myself. I'm eagerly awaiting the results of my application, but I can personally attest to the value of being nudged. As my wife and I send our 2 kids to college now, having our significant student debt forgiven will have an enormous impact on our family's future. And when you imagine, that impact multiplied by the hundreds of thousands of public sector workers out there, this says amazing things for our families and for the economy. Thanks everyone for being here.
Thank you, Catherine, for being here and for your continuing leadership to support UC workers and now to help them access PSLF during these next crucial months and for sharing your personal story going through the student loan system. As co-lead again of the campaign for California Borrowers' Rights Coalition as Next Gen California, it's my pleasure to introduce Jen Masaoka, the CEO of the California Association of Nonprofits. Cal Nonprofits is a statewide policy alliance of more than 10,000 nonprofits speaking to government, philanthropy, and the public at large. Jan is a leading writer and thinker on nonprofit organizations with particular emphasis on boards of directors, business planning, and the role of nonprofits in society. Jan has years of public service in the nonprofit sector, and thanks to her leadership has made countless positive changes in communities and in state policy for nonprofits. Jan, do we have you on the line?
Yes, thank you so much, Samantha. I do want to give a special shout out to Next Gen and to the Student Debt Crisis Center for your leadership and hard work getting so many nonprofit folks involved with student debt. And we at the California Association of Nonprofits, we are very proud ourselves to be taking the Student Debt Challenge. And I wanted to give a word to nonprofit employers. Filling out the PSLF certification form is so easy that when I did it, it seemed too short to even be a government form. And in your job announcements, we need to all put things like, we are a PSLF certified employer, because PSLF not only helps our employees, but it helps nonprofits keep the staff, the qualified staff that we need to be able to serve our communities. There are almost 200,000 nonprofit staff in California with student debt. Many of them, as others have pointed out, are first-generation graduates, women, people of color, people from lower-income families. They are medical assistants in nonprofit clinics, bookkeepers at museums, teachers at nonprofits, preschools, and building managers in affordable housing. Surprisingly, many of them are in their 50s and 60s because they went back to school in midlife. Student debt forgiveness is crucial to nonprofits having the qualified, expert, committed, and diverse staff that we need to do our work well. Many of these important staff are literally drowning in student debt. And PSLF is a lifeboat for them. But not everyone, as many speakers have pointed out, knows that these lifeboats are nearby. We're committed to helping nonprofit staff get onto these lifeboats. We have resources on our websites to help staff and HR managers help nonprofits with student debt support, including free and easy ways to be able to do so. Our members have special access to one-to-one assistance for them. So I want to thank everybody here, the elected officials, as well as the nonprofit champions, for creating this campaign to bring more awareness to make sure that more nonprofit staff take advantage of this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan, for your leadership and continual partnership in helping nonprofit employees who are frequently student borrowers to access crucial resources and information. As the Director of Outreach at Student Debt Crisis Center, I speak with borrowers every day, and their stories are so important. So it's my pleasure to introduce Christine Shea. Christine is a Board of Behavioral Sciences licensed marriage and family therapist and registered art therapist living in San Francisco, California. She graduated in 2015 with her master's so that she can work with a diverse range of individuals experiencing mental health concerns. Christine has worked with nonprofit organizations serving youth in community mental health, schools, and crisis work. Christine, do we have you?
Yes, hello. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. And thank you all so much for working on this. This is a really such an important thing. So my name is Christine Shea, as I've been introduced, and I am a first-gen student, and I'm about $180,000 plus in debt. And that's just to complete my schooling necessary to work in the field of mental health. And so because I knew about this program, thankfully, I did enroll, but there was a bit of a discrepancy, and a couple of the years that I made faithful payments on did not count. And so with this particular program, I'm really excited to kind of sign back up and get those payments counting again, because I was pretty discouraged by that. 2 years may not seem like a lot, but in public service, it really is. And within the 10-year scope, it really does make an impact. So I'm really hoping that this can get straightened out and I can get back on track and hopefully see these loans forgiven at some point, because it certainly isn't something that I would be able to pay off within 10 years if I didn't have this program available to me. So I really thank everyone for advocating for the reform on this and for making it more user-friendly, and for having nonprofits know more about it as well, because I did find that as I worked in nonprofit work, not a lot of employers knew what it was. It was really left up to me to explain the paperwork to others, and to get the word out there to my coworkers for this. So this is really fantastic, and I appreciate the work everyone is doing. And thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Christine. It's so important to hear from folks that we're trying to help, right? We want to reach as many public service workers, and you're one of them. You're a great example of someone who should have credits applied, and that this new public service loan forgiveness waiver will apply to. So thank you so much. And I want to just thank our long list of amazing speakers: Attorney General Bonta, Senator Limon, Assemblymember Bonta, Ashley Harrington, and Richard Cordray from the Department of Education, Suzanne Martindale from DFPI, Jan from Cal Nonprofits, and of course, Christine. Thank you so much, and to our wonderful partners here at the California Campaign for Borrowers' Rights. So we just want to go over again what this challenge is. So we, at Student Debt Crisis Center, we have taken the challenge to, you've heard of many other organizations and members taking this challenge, and the goal is to provide information to help employees understand the public service loan forgiveness and this temporary waiver that expires on October 31st, which is why there's such a sense of urgency here. So if you are listening to us, or you want to take action because you haven't signed up yet, we want participating employers to feature this challenge on their website, send communication to their employees. An email goes a long way, as we heard from the Ask Me president, that just having those reminders and gentle nudges is so important here, and these communications will provide information related to public service loan forgiveness, ensure that your HR staff is familiar with the challenge and with the waiver, and then options to do more activities. We at the California Campaign for Borrowers' Rights are providing all of these toolkits for you. We want to make it as easy as possible to bring your employees on board. So all necessary materials such as toolkits, email templates, an handbook for your HR folks, webinar content will be provided by any of the challenge partners. So we just implore you to really take this challenge. In addition, I just want to highlight some of the folks that have already taken the challenge, the folks on this call, but we have the City of San Dimas, City of South Pasadena, the Department of Justice, the City of San Francisco, and more people are signing up every single day. So again, please, if you haven't already, sign up. So how do you do that? So take the challenge. Go to www.californiaborrowers.org /join-r-challenge. So again, for folks that are on the phone, www.californiaborrowers.org /join-r-challenge. And we also invite you to join our first California Student Debt Stakeholder Call. Those of you that have already joined the challenge, considering joining the challenge, this is a great way to learn more, learn about the resources that the campaign is providing for you. And included, and after this call, we will include the simple bit.ly link so you can sign up and join our first call. And that will be on August 24th at 12 p.m. Pacific. And we hope to have more of these in the future because we see this as August is the August Student Debt Awareness Month, which is so great to hear from so many of our great speakers today. At the Campaign for California Borrowers' Rights, we see this as a 3-month challenge to get everyone signed up by October 31st and beyond, because the groups on these calls have been working tirelessly for 3 years now and will not give up until we end the student debt crisis. So I just want to thank all of our speakers again, and our challenge takers. It's going to be an exciting time, and let's all get out there and find public service workers and make sure that they get their debt cancellation that they are entitled to. Thank you so much for being here today.